Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's QCDR webinar titled The 2016 PQRS Submission Wrap-Up. Thank you to those who have already logged in and registered for today's webinar. We hope that you are also accompanied by some of your team members who are using our registry for 2016 reporting. My name is Alicia Blakey, staff here, and also I'm accompanied by staff, our registry team, and also our IT support. So if you do have questions, we will have a Q&A session after today's lecture. Additionally, everyone is joining the conference in listen-only mode, but we would like you to remain engaged and active. So if you do have questions, please submit them using the question feature. So what we will cover today, we'll look just a quick overview of the 2016 PQRS reporting requirements for using the QCDR. We'll look at our QCDR timeline for our CMS submission. You all have been working with us throughout the year to get all your data in time so that we can package it and send it to CMS on your behalf. So we are coming close to that deadline, and we'll walk through what you need to do from today and on to be successful. We are also going to spend time looking at our PQRS physician portal. We're going to look at navigation and how to interpret the information that is there. That will be in the form of a live demo using our test information. So we hope that this live demo will help you all be engaged and kind of answer some of your pain points. And then lastly, we do have a new QCDR request form to assist. We ask that you fill this out so that we can assist you with any questions or concerns about your 2016 PQRS submissions. We have a high volume of calls and emails, and so we think that this form will help us to be more efficient. So this is just a reminder, because we are, even though this webinar is focused on 2016 reporting, we do want you to be aware that we are in the process of, we've applied with CMS to be a registry for 2017 reporting, and we expect to hear back in spring of 2017. So as of today, we will not be able to cover any of your QCDR questions related to 2017 reporting. But please do know that we will be available in a few weeks. For any questions pertaining to the QCDR, for all webinars, I make sure to include a link to our webpage. This webpage lives outside of the NRDR registry, as well as the PQRS portal that we commonly refer to. So please make note of this acr.org/QCDR link, because that's going to answer your questions about what are the reporting requirements if I'm a G-Pro, what measures are available, etc. Quick look at the 2016 PQRS reporting requirements. The overall goal, you're using our QCDR registry or our Qualified Clinical Data Registry to help you meet and avoid a negative payment adjustment for the PQRS program as well as the volume modifier. You can see that your penalty can range anywhere from a -2 to a -4%, depending on your group size, of course. And then for PQRS reporting, is very important, and this is the first thing I do on all webinars. It's important for you as the site, the facility administrator, your physician, to know if you are participating in the program as an individual provider or if you have been selected or approved by CMS to be a group practice reporting option. In essence, if you're an individual provider, we will submit data to CMS using your MPI and TIN number. And then your goal is to submit at least 9 measures covering 3 domains. Of those measures, you must include at least 2 outcomes. And that's for at least 50% of the provider's patients, of course, that are attributed to the measure or applicable to the measure. And this includes both Medicare and non-Medicare patients. And then if you're a G-Pro, your requirements are similar given the number of measures and the outcome and how much % of your group's patients you need to report on. But it's important to note that you just need 9 total measures across all of the MPIs that bill for your tax ID number. When we submit data to CMS, we're going to submit it at the 10 level. And so all of the providers that bill for your group will get the same score or determination that you are either successful or not. Very important, we are a qualified clinical data registry. That is only one of 2 registry reporting options. For the QCDR, it's very important here, I've outlined it in red at the bottom. If you have less than 9 measures across 3 domains, if you are reporting as a group or individual provider, you will not avoid a negative payment adjustment using the QCDR. I've had this question come up pretty frequently. A lot of people are familiar with the process called MAV, and that MAV process is not applicable to a QCDR, so you must report 9-3 to be successful. If after this webinar, or if that's your first time hearing that information, you do have alternatives. You can use a qualified registry, or you can use claims reporting. So keep that in mind. You still have time if you need to make other arrangements. So I'm going to just transition to our QCDR timeline. For a CMS submission, if you all have joined me for previous webinars, we spend time outlining what are key target dates that you need to be mindful of and what preparation is needed before the deadline actually comes. Before you see this page has a lot of red text because that's what I want to pull out and emphasize the most. The first being that we needed all data by January 31st. We do understand that if you are working with our team or if there are any errors that have come up, we will work with you to still collect your data, but we need to be in constant communication so that we make sure that we adhere to the submission deadline to CMS. We have provided a deadline extension for everyone. For the first 2 bullets, you'll see it says between January 31st and February 24th, 2017. By February 24th, we want everyone to have been able to review and attest to the accuracy of the data that you have submitted for 2016. Between now and February 24th, these are the things that I want you to do. You must review your 2016 performance rates on all QCDR measures, that's PQRS measures and non-PQRS measures, and submit any additional data if needed. How you would do this is you would log on to your portal weekly, if not daily, and check your performance report tab. Secondly, you must select measures to be submitted and provide information, and that's for CMS submission, and provide information on the total relevant exams performed for those measures. I'm going to walk through, as I mentioned, we're going to have a live demo so you'll be able to see how to select a measure and what I mean by verifying total exam counts. But the tabs that you're going to use, if you are doing individual reporting, you will use physician CMS submission, and if you are a GPro, please use the GPro submission tab. Lastly, you must confirm final measure selections and authorize ACR to submit measures to CMS. It is not an automatic process that you submitted data to the registry and now we will automatically submit that information to CMS. There is a process that we refer to as a test or attestation, meaning that someone from your site will have to log in and verify that all of the data is accurate. They're going to check a box and then we're going to submit your information to CMS. So please be mindful of that. That needs to happen by February 24th, but we are flexible if you have multiple facilities or you're managing multiple accounts. We can try to provide more extension if necessary, but please be mindful if you do get up to March 1st or the second week of March, then it's going to be hard for us to submit everything to CMS for your site. A little bit more on the February 24th date. So there's going to be an opportunity for you to review and attest to the accuracy of your data submitted for the 2016 reporting year. I've been working with sites. There are some sites that have been ready, beginning of January to wrap up this whole QCDR process. And so we thank you for those who were able to figure out this complicated process early on. But I do want to be mindful that if you are a GPro and you have logged into your portal, you will not, as of today, you will not see any information related to attestation. But please be mindful that that will be released soon. And we'll look through it later in today's content. Last two options, I don't want to harp on this timeline too much, but these are where we get our general questions. Payment. So there is a PQRS reporting fee that's applied. It should be, you should pay that invoice March 1st of 2017. If you have not received an invoice will be sent to you by our staff. And the fees are for ACR members, it's $199 per year, and that's per physician. And then for non-members, the rate is actually $499. Just came to my attention that we do have a preference on how you pay for this invoice. Currently, our online system to accept the credit card is not working properly. So if you could please make checks payable to NRDR, and you would just send that check to our ACR headquarters here in Reston. And for all checks, please make sure to include your facility ID number on the check so that we can go ahead and process that information in a timely manner. If your check is received to ACR late, we will still go ahead and submit your information to CMS, so no need to panic there. And then March 31st, a lot of people thought that this was our data submission deadline, so just a gentle reminder that this is the last day that we as the ACR can submit any quality measures for our QCDR participants. So March 31st is the absolute cutoff. We're going to probably start submitting data to CMS the first or second week of March for those who have completed all the required steps. So please keep that in mind. So the common question is how to actually view QCDR measures. I get this question all the time. How do I get into the physician portal? Essentially, you will log into your NRDR web link that's here on your screen. You will log in with your credentials. If you're a facility administrator, please log in as a facility administrator. Registry administrator, we have a facility user role type, and also your physician user. Every physician has an active account with our QCDR if you want to use us for 2016 reporting. Once you get logged on there, you're going to click on PQRS measure participation, and then you're going to click on data collection and reports. Once you click on data collection and reports, there are going to be multiple tabs that are available to you on your portal. The first one is upload data. This is where you submit your PQRS measures using either an Excel or a text file. You're going to have a tab that says Physician CMS Submission. This is for facility administrators, registry administrator, and a facility user. You can select measures for, the physician will be able to select measures for CMS submission, of course, and then the physician user is required to attest for these measures to be submitted to CMS. So I'll just say that again because I could have said it a little bit better. For the physician CMS submission tab, it will require your physician to log on to our portal with their username and password, and then they also will be required to attest to the measures. If you do not attest to the measures or your physicians do not log in, we will not be able to submit that information to CMS on behalf of that provider. The next tab will be G-Pro submission. Again, facility administrators, registry administrators, and facility users have the ability to select measures for your group as well as complete the attestation. So as an administrator, if for your G-Pros you have multiple physicians that you're managing, multiple sites, we have allowed you flexibility to complete that attestation so that your submissions to CMS is not being held up. And then lastly, the last tab that you will notice, everyone has one performance report. So in this performance report, you'll be able to see your reporting rates for all of your PQRS and non-PQRS measures as well as performance rates. And this is where you want to look to identify what measures have been assigned to your physicians, etc. This is just a nice screenshot to show you that if you are logged into the NRDR, you would click PQRS measure participation, and then under that is data collection and reports. And then it's going to take you to this nice screen. You'll have a home tab, And then I've highlighted the key fields that we already discussed: upload data, physician CMS submission, G-Pro CMS submission, and your performance report. So this is your portal to see, okay, we've submitted a lot of data to the ACR throughout the year. Now, where are my measures? This is where you would look. And not to worry, as I mentioned, part of this webinar today will be a live demo. And then please be mindful that all of this does not have to be completed in one day, so just keep that in mind. We want you in your portal at least daily, if not weekly. And then to submit your measures to CMS, we're asking that you at least be in there by February 24th. Just a few more notes about the physician portal, because we do have a nice user guide that explains the process, but because it's crunch time, it's late in the game, I just wanted to call out a few things that I've noticed you have questions about, and that what we've covered on previous webinars, in case this is your first time attending one of our webinar series. So all physicians must register to use our physician portal. This registration is required. As you can imagine, if you're doing individual reporting, we need your doctor to actually log in and select measures and attest to those measures. And then if you're a G-Pro, and most of my facility administrators on the line can agree with me that they've attempted to upload files for their physicians, and the files have been rejected if the physician has not registered for our site. So let's just be mindful that that is a requirement. In the portal, you'll be able to view PQRS and non-PQRS measures. The PQRS measures are your claims-based measures, 145, 225, 146, etc. And then your non-PQRS measures, they have a different data collection process, and they all start with AC-RAD, and we have 5 different registries that you can use to pull measures. So beware that our system this portal is supposed to be the dashboard, so that your physician or you as a facility administrator can see everything in one location, since we have so many registries. And then you need to verify your exam counts and make sure that they are accurate. If you log into your portal and you see that we only have 50 exams, and you know that your doctor really, had more than that for screening exams, let's say they had 1,200, then we're missing some data, and we have to have some dialogue or some discussion to figure out why exams are missing. If you have any problems with any of your exam counts, I'm just calling out here. The staff asked me if you can notify us. We have our QCDR intake form, and then also every registry participant has access to QCDR feedback reports. We give you an aggregate report, and we also give you a special QCDR preview report designed just for the QCDR participants. We will not be looking at that today during today's demo because it's housed outside of the portal, but be mindful that you can pull up those reports at any time. And then after submitting PQRS data files, a lot of people, we've got the question, they're waiting for kind of a status change on if the file was accepted or rejected. It takes our system 24 hours before your status updates. And then when you get that status update, you'll be able to see if any records were rejected, and then you can fix any errors and re-upload files if necessary. We asked, because it's this late in the year, we realized that a lot of people are using the site and using the system. And so some of the files, I think in previous webinars I mentioned that you can have 20,000 records if it's an Excel file. We've now reduced that to 10,000 records. So if you are submitting a lot of data, we ask that you break that up into multiple files if possible, because it'll make sure that the files are not rejected for being too large. The last 2 bullets, our non-PQRS measures are attributed to your physician based on their NPI and tax ID numbers. You all provided that early on during registration, and you provided that information outside of the portal. And then please be mindful that because we're looking at your physician's information across multiple registries for multiple facilities, we are actually updating our portal. If you make any changes to an NPI or a 10 or you give us more data, we're making changes at least weekly. So I would say by Wednesday of every week, you can expect that your exam counts may change if you've given us more data. If you have not, then please disregard. And then part of the physician portal, and all of you have found it already, we had an enhanced performance report tab to help support individual and group reporting of measures for CMS submission. This is just a snapshot of what that portal looks like. During our last webinar, we had not released it yet. This is just a snapshot to show you that you can see the facility's tax ID information, whether or not you are a G-Pro, and then you have group aggregate counts as well as your physicians that bill for that particular group's tax ID number. We don't have to spend a lot of time here because we're going to actually look into the actual portal itself, but just wanted you to be aware that it's there and available for you. So what do you need to do now? On all these webinars, I try to have okay, what's the take home? So we want you to verify your physician names and tax ID information is updated on all accounts. That includes any master and child accounts. Common question that we get, I think staff asked me to remind everyone on today's call, if you do have a problem viewing exam counts or you're saying the data there is not incorrect, we ask that you do give us, take a look and give us your facility ID number for your child site. Most of the data in our system comes from your child site. Your master account is really supposed to be an administrative account for billing purposes, and kind of no one's really submitting data to the master account unless it's just for PQRS measures. But overall general rule, add physicians and tax ID information to all accounts if you want to use that exam information for your CMS submission. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. And just a gentle reminder, if you do have questions, I'm accompanied by staff and they're able to answer why I present today's talk. So please do get your questions in the chat, in the question box. Lastly, we're asking that you log into the physician portal to view all measures assigned to your physicians. The primary location where you need to go is Performance Report tab. Several of you have already went in there. You've noticed that your information looks and appears as you expected. And if things are missing or something is not appearing correctly, you can always notify staff. We want you to verify those exam counts and select your measures for CMS submission. Remember, if you do not select measures for CMS submission, then we will not submit anything for your providers. Gentle reminder, there's 2 tabs that collects this information. If you are not a G-Pro, please use the Physician CMS submission tab, and then if you are a G-Pro, please use the G-Pro CMS submission tab. Verify you are meeting PQRS requirements. They are different if you are an individual doctor using the QCDR versus group participation. And as a reminder, if you do have less than 9 measures across 3 domains, you will not be successful using the QCDR, and your alternative would be to continue doing claims reporting, or you can use a qualified registry, and we can give you details if that's your situation. And then lastly, you can view your latest QCDR feedback reports in NRDR. Currently, the QCDR feedback report that we have, we're up to Q3, and it's accounted for exams from January all the way through September only. Q4 preview reports will be released soon. So I'm just going to let everyone know that you do not have a full year's worth of data yet for your Q4 QCDR preview report. So now we're going to go ahead and transition over to the actual portal and show you all some of the key tabs and the functionality. Please allow at least a few minutes while I get logged in. For anyone that's wondering, this is our ACR QCDR page that I was referring to. If you have questions that you need assistance with, we have our QCDR forum, and then everyone should be familiar with our several tabs and announcements. So for today's demo, I'm actually going to log into our testing account. So early apologies if anything does not function properly. I would encourage you to, I know we are multitaskers, so if you want to, if you have the bandwidth, you can actually pull up your portal and follow along with me so that you can get a sense and a feel, a more hands-on approach instead of me just talking to you about what needs to be done. Okay. Let me just refresh my screen. So I'm actually, for today's demo, I'm going to log in as a facility administrator. Let me just log out because it's been some time since I've been in there. If you are logged in as a facility administrator, you will need your facility ID, your username, and then, of course, your password. If you are a physician user, you will only need your username and password. You are not required to know your facility ID number, especially since radiology, most of the physicians read for multiple facilities. So I'm logged into the portal as we had screenshots earlier. Under registries, as you see, we have a number of options. I'm going to click PQRS measure participation because that's my goal and why I'm using the QCDR. Under there, we're going to skip over registration information. We're going to go under registry management. You're going to select data collection and report. And just as a reminder, this is our testing site, so it may take a little while for the page to appear, but please be patient. And if you do have the bandwidth, if you could go ahead and log into your portal to follow along. So this page appears because I am a facility administrator. I am managing Wyoming Imaging Center, and I am managing multiple physicians. So on your home screen, if you log in as a facility administrator, you're going to see your physician's information, their name, their NPI. This information that says not registered, this is physicians who have not completed the portal registration. So if you see that appearing on any of your accounts, please have them complete portal registration as soon as possible. I think by this time, most physicians should have an active account. And then again, you'll also see, remember I said we use your physician's NPI number and your tax ID numbers that you've given us for that physician to attribute the measures. So you can see all of your TINs that this particular physician reads for. Sorry. And then this last column is just records. So if it says no records, that means that across all of our 5 registries and across any PQRS files that you've uploaded to our system, there is no data for that physician. So please be mindful to check that column if you're experiencing any problems. And then I'll just note, this will be, because I'm in a test site, I believe you all will see this also. We have a special note that an asterisk indicates that the TIN is managed by your facility. So this particular Dr. Viola Chang reads for multiple facilities, but I'm only responsible for the ones that are identified with an asterisk. That's very important for sites who are collaborating. You have the same physicians, but you are submitting different measures, so please keep that in mind. We're going to move right along to, we're going to skip these two tabs, records entered in the web service import. That just gives you the records of everything you've submitted to our system. For today's purposes, we do not need to use those tabs. Upload data. So for our upload data tab, this is where we invite you to submit your Excel files as well as your Excel files as well as your text files for your PQRS measures. So here we have all the templates. I had a few people say, where are the templates? The templates are actually here built into the portal. And then we give you an option to browse your file and upload, and then we give you an explanation of the different statuses. I'm just going to call out this because it's not really apparent when you look at it at first take, but if you do have a file pending status, it will take up to 24 hours for our database to be updated. So that's why I asked, if you upload PQRS files, it's going to take at least 1 day to refresh. And then you should be able to see all of the files, a list of any and all files you submitted to our system, what dates, what the status is, how many records, and then the favorite column for everyone is the number of records rejected field. Because this is a test facility, my number is very low, but some of the facilities I've walked through the portal with, you have several rejected records. But not to be worried, if you do have any records that are rejected, you can use this action icon, and next to any file you can download a log file, and it will tell you exactly why a particular field was rejected. You can make any changes necessary and update to our system. So that's the Upload Data tab. If you are planning on submitting any PQRS measures and you have not uploaded any data to our system, please do that at your earliest convenience. We had a data submission deadline of January 31st. We extended it until February 3rd. So please let us know if you need any further extensions. Physician CMS submission. The next tab is Physician CMS submission and GPro CMS submission. I clicked on this. I wanted to actually go to our performance report. It looks like the system is refreshing, so just give it a few. So we talked a lot about between now and February 24th, you all should be selecting your measures for CMS submission and verifying your exam counts. In this tab, you will be able to do that very thing. For today's testing purposes, I'm going to log into one of my physicians. So I'm going to log in as Charles Balkley. And again, this is just all testing information, so none of this data is real or will be submitted to CMS. And then as a reminder, this physician CMS submission tab, if you are a GPro, you do not need to use this tab. If you missed the GPro registration deadline, that means you are an individual reporter and you need to use this tab for each of your physicians you plan to submit measures for. I've clicked select and I'm just waiting for our system to refresh. As you all notice, so now our page has been refreshed. 2016 is our current reporting year. You will see your physician's NPI information listed, and then we have a special note to remind you that any changes on this page will take at least 24 hours before your performance report is updated with the information that you have provided. So for this particular doctor, let's go back up to the top. This doctor has multiple tax IDs. As you can see, there are no measures available. This is just a test facility, so I can expand and collapse this information so that it's not, because I don't need to use it, you can just expand or collapse. So I'm actually going to collapse those 10s because they don't have any measures. If this happens to you and you see your tax ID, you see that it's G-Pro or it's not a G-Pro, and you are missing measures, that's a problem, and you should reach out to ACR staff to troubleshoot. For this particular doctor, we see a list of measures appearing. This list is very long because for today's purposes, we've populated with some information. But I just want to walk through Measure 22. This same screen is available for any PQRS measures and as well as AC-RAD measures. So everything will appear on one screen. You'll have the measure number, how many exams you have submitted to us for the current year. If you have participated with us in prior years, we've been a QCDR since 2014. You will not have access to that data. We're doing 1 year at a time, so keep that in mind. And then you have a number of options that you can do. You can say, yes, I am selecting this measure for PQRS reporting. And then we're asking that you enter your total number of exams. We tell you how many exams you submitted to us, but we give you the opportunity to say if you are submitting these exams, if it's 100% of your exams, if it is not 100% of your exams, and the number should be higher than what appears on this screen. If you do, you can enter a total number of exams relevant just to that measure. So this would be a case where your doctor maybe read, let's say, 100 exams, but you've only given us data for 50. You can decide to give us more data, or you can decide that that's all the data that you could submit. Part of this tab, so the reason why we ask you your exam counts is because we need to calculate a reporting rate for each measure. If you remember, and I'll just remind you, part of the PQRS reporting requirements is that you give us at least 50%, your reporting rate threshold is at least 50% of all patients seen for the year applicable to the measure, of course. So we calculate that rate, that reporting rate, using the number of exams. Hopefully this is a straightforward process. And then, as I mentioned, all your PQRS measures will appear. And I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because I should have some AC-RAD measures in here also. And then you'll see, because this provider has a lot of PQRS measures, right after the PQRS measures will appear any non-PQRS measures that have been assigned to your physician. So this particular physician has AC-RAD 1 and 2 assigned to them, and those particular measures come from our CTC registry. So that provider will have measures related to that registry. If you participate in multiple registries, all of your measures should appear. And if they are not, please give us the rationale for why, and we can try to troubleshoot. As I mentioned, you may have some questions on this information. We will have a question and answer session following this demo. And then the same information, and while this page refreshes, just a gentle reminder, if you are doing physician or individual reporting, On this page will be an attestation statement that says, I attest to the accuracy of all the data, all of the exam information. It will be on this CMS submission page if you are a physician user only. Because of today's lecture, I'm a facility administrator, and because I'm not a G-Pro, I cannot attest to any measures for that physician. So your physicians will need to log in and attest. You can select measures for them as an administrator, but you cannot attest to the measures for them. Similar case for G-Pro submission, similar information, sorry, as far as the look and feel of selecting measures and verifying your exam counts. The main difference is that we will require from all facility administrators, right now you'll see an email address. This email address is either going to be yours or it's going to be blank, and we're going to ask you to give us your email address. The reason for that is that as a facility administrator, you are attesting that everything that appears on this page for every tax ID number is accurate and there is no further changes or additional data you need to give us. So we do need to require your email, and the information is similar. Instead of saying, I am selecting this measure for PQRS reporting, you'll say that your group is selecting that information. And then please be sure to save all of your information. If you do not save, you will get a red notification that says this measure has not been submitted for PQRS reporting. Do I have any examples? Does not. So sticking with measure, let's do measure 22. I'm going to say that if I do not select my group is selecting this measure for PQRS reporting, I will get prompted to say you have not selected this measure for PQRS reporting. Any changes that you do make, you want to be sure that you save them. So I'm changing it. I no longer really had 20 exams. I'm saying that I only saw 4 exams relevant to measure 22, and I'm going to click save. And you will get a status notification saying that your information has been successfully updated. How do I get it? Top. And then I just want to spend some time looking at the performance report tab, because this is the first tab that a lot of you all as facility administrators, registry administrators, and even physician users, thank you to the physicians who actually been engaged in this QCR process. The first thing you all have been doing is really skipping over CMS submission, because you've been working on getting your data to us, and you're just not ready to say that you definitely want to submit a measure for PQRS reporting. The main tab would be the performance report tab. For purposes of today's demo, who did I want to check? So I am logged in. So I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. I was thinking of some people that I helped today, because we sent out a message to all our registry participants asking you to log into your portal and develop some or identify some questions that you want to answer today. And most people said when they click on performance report, there is no data that displays for them. So I just want to call out that if you do log into this page, you'll see if you only have one tax ID number, that's all you'll see. If you have multiple 10s, right here next to each of the 10s is an opportunity for you to expand or collapse the information. So if you click on this plus sign, then your measures will appear for you. For purposes of today's lecture, and I want to make sure I have time for question and answers, this particular tax ID number has been identified as a G-Pro. Our system identifies that based on you modifying your Managed Physician tab to tell us if you are a G-Pro or not. And so we've taken that information. And then we now allow you to see how many exams have been submitted for your entire group. For G-Pros, it's very important to have all your physicians listed and rolled up together. So for this particular group, I only have 2 physicians, but if you have 17, if you have 22, if you have 110, all 110 of your providers will appear for each measure. Because of today's demo, I won't spend a lot of time, but the main thing that people really want to know is their performance rate and their reporting rate. This particular doctor does have a reporting rate. If your reporting rate field is empty, it's because you need to verify your exam counts under the CMS submission tab. Very important that any changes you make on the CMS submission tab will populate the performance report, and there is a 1-day lag time before that information is updated. For this particular provider, these numbers are fictitious. But you can see that the performance rate is very high. Now, this particular measure is an inverse measure, and so 60% means that I'm doing terrible on performance, but my reporting rate is 100%. So just keep that in mind on how to interpret the information. If you're wondering how do you calculate a performance rate, if you just hover over the title, we give you an explanation of how we do that. If you want to know more information about exceptions or exclusions, we have information on that as well as how we calculate the reporting rate. As a reminder, you will not have a reporting rate if you have not verified your exams under the CMS submission and G-Pro submission tabs. I have not selected this measure for CMS submission, which means that I can go into the tab and update or change any numbers. And then if I select it, I want to send it to CMS, or I want to select it for CMS submission, this no will change to a yes. And then I'm just going to scroll down because all of your PQRS measures will list out. You'll have performance rates for each of them. So I do not recommend selecting any measure for CMS submission without verifying or looking at your exam counts and your reporting rates. But do be mindful, if you haven't looked at the CMS submission tab, you won't have information. And because this doctor has a lot of PQRS measures, remember, you all will have real data, so you may not have to scroll this far, but then you can start to see your AC-RAD measures, and you can see how they are calculated, your performance rates, etc. We do have measures. They're called continuous measures. If you are in the dose index registry or participate in our grid registry, we do calculate those measures a little bit differently. You'll see that you do not have all the tabs as this above measure because these are a proportion measure. For continuous measures, we calculate them a little bit differently, and we give you an explanation of each of the tabs. I'll just tell you now that your measure population is your reporting numerator. Your performance score is your performance numerator. And then it's either dose or milligray, and it's the median of this median dose DLP CT head brain without contrast. So that's kind of how you interpret that information. And then if the column says yes or no for CMS submission, if you find this problematic, you do need to make any modifications in the CMS submission tab. So I hope that gives you a better sense of how to use the registry. I will just call out that for some of the continuous measures, this performance score may not be meaningful to you because you don't know if that performance is considered good or bad. We do, in the next few weeks, we will be releasing what we call registry level benchmarks. So right under here, you'll be able to see what the median is for this particular measure that's been submitted by everyone in the registry. So you can see if the median is really 8 and you're a 5, then that'll help give you a sense of something to benchmark against. But the number itself, we realize that the performance score just alone may not provide the full picture of how you're doing on performance. So if I could just switch back over to the PowerPoint, because we'll end that demo because I want to make sure that we have enough time for Q&A. And just a reminder that if you do need help, if you have last-minute questions, exams not appearing, how to download your aggregate file, reports, etc., we ask that you submit our QCDR request form, and please allow us 2 to 3 business days to respond. And then all of today's content has been focused on 2016 reporters and getting them squared away for their CMS submission process. And so for 2017, we'll start that process. We're thinking in spring. We're still waiting to get approval from CMS. I see the staff has been typing away furiously, so are there any outstanding questions that have come into the queue, or some that could be summarized if multiple people have the same question?
Got some.
And just before we start that, if you all could hold on to the webinar, we'll probably finish at 4 on the dot, but if you can hold on to the webinar, we have just one final poll to just get some feedback from you all on our QCDR process. It'll take less than 30 seconds.
So the first question we have here, this comes from Nicole. She asks, can we select the measures even though attestation is not currently available for GPRO?
That's correct. You can select your measures now, Nicole, and then the attestation will be released we're thinking next week. But you should be able to select your measures now. If for any reason you're not able to do that, let us know.
Next question comes from Brandon. He asks, if we are using the turnaround time measures, are those numbers just pulled from what was reported in the grid? Is there any need to send in additional information on those? Is the grid the only way to get turnaround time into PQRS?
Hi, this is Judy. I answered Brandon, but Brandon's correct. The only way to get the turnaround time measures for PQRS is to submit your data through grid, and what you submitted as part of your exam level data for grid is what is used for the turnaround time measures.
Thank you.
Next, we've got a question from Carrie. The question is, for 2016 DIR measures, is it required to report a full calendar year of data to DIR?
The participation agreement for NRDR is asks that as a participant you submit all of your data. So that is the way that we proceed, that you would give to NRDR all the information that you have. But we do understand the burden in getting set up and collecting data and submitting it to us. So if you have 50% of all your case information related to the DIR measures, the CT exams, if you have that across a 10, or if you're reporting as an individual, if you've submitted 50% of case data for the year, then you can submit that as a successful measure.
Yes, and for the full year, we mean January 1 through December 31st.
Thanks. Next question is from Bobby. The question is, will the benchmarks be available before we have to submit?
Yes, that's the hope. Please, Bobby and others who have this same question, this is a good question. Please do not select the measure for CMS submission until you have a complete, you have complete access to all the information you would need, like the registry level benchmarks. But
you can look at, for the non-PQRS measures, you can look at your by registry, the QCDR executive, in the executive summary, you can look at the QCDR report that will show you benchmarks. For the PQRS measures, that should be available any day now, but that is available elsewhere than in the actual performance report.
So that's linking what we talked about earlier, that if you do have problem with exam counts, we do ask you to look at your QCDR aggregate reports or your preview reports or executive summary found in your aggregate report to match the numbers and make sure it's accurate.
Next question comes from Heather. She asks, is there a problem with paying our fees online? We are getting an error when attempting.
Yes, at this time, Heather, there is a problem. If you could please submit a check to our ACR headquarters and be sure to include your facility ID. But we cannot collect credit card payments at this time. If it is fixed, we'll try to notify all of the QCDR participants. Sorry, so we we're over our time, so we do have some questions that have not been answered. We're going to answer those offline, so thank you for your participation. And for these questions, we will not require that you submit a QCDR request form. I'll go ahead and take a log and try to answer those by the end of today. And then if you could just hold tight, we want to give you just a quick poll we're going to start. It should take less than 30 seconds.
So you should be able to see the poll now. The question is, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, how would you rate your experience with the QCDR webinar series?
And just while everyone completes that poll, we just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy Monday to join us for this webinar, and then any prior webinars that we've had. We've hoped that you've been able to participate, and we just thank you for your patience. And then if we are actively working with your site on getting additional data, or if you are troubleshooting anything related to your tax ID numbers or anything like that, we'll work with you all. The February 24th deadline, it's there, but we do have some flexibility to assist you all further. But just keep in mind, mid-March is when we're going to start submitting data to CMS. There are quite a number of sites that are waiting for the attestation for the groups, so apologies for that, but it will be released soon. Oh, what was the poll result? Sorry, we're just going to go over the poll results. Oh, so the question was, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, how would you rate your experience with the QCDR webinar series? 47% of you rated us as a 4, and 30% of you rated us as a 5. Thank you for those. And then a 3 for the 2% did find it not useful, a 1. No one rated us as a 2, and then 21% as a 3. So we appreciate that feedback. We know it's a little bit informal, but it'll help us decide how we want to conduct our webinar series for the 2017 reporting. So as soon as we wrap up 2016, which will be March, April, May is when we'll start diving right into 2017. If you're on the call, you're not participating in our registries, I would go ahead and start getting those agreements and your facility account signed up into NRDR if your hope is to join the registry for 2017. I think that's it. We're going to close out. Thanks for your time.